Great news! There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price, and it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
Monday morning, glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. This hour of Golic and Wingo is brought to you by La Quinta Inns and Suites. Book at LQ.com and win at business. Mike Golic, Trey Wingo here. Delighted to be joined by our new ESPN NFL analyst, John Fox, in studio, giving us the Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. You'll be with us all season, right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm a Tuesday, Wednesday guy. I think this is kind of on the docket now and looking forward to it.
Boy, there's a lot to talk about.
There is a ton to get to. By the way, hearing him say that, wouldn't you like to be just a Tuesday and Wednesday guy?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
John Fox winning again.
I wasn't rubbing it in.
Yeah, you were. I know you were. Dagnabbit. Now, we'll get to John in a minute. We got to get through what's going on and what's trending. We'll get through that very quickly. And congratulations to Justin Verlander, earning his 200th career win. Mike, the Astros hit 5 home runs and retake the lead in the AL West.
Great race with them and the A's. Seattle's still there as well. Jose Altuve, for you Astro fans, he's started his first rehab assignment, so hopefully get him back pretty soon. Verlander gets his 200th career win. There's 2 active players with more. Bartolo Colon has 247, CC Sabathia 244, which led us to a question out there. Which would happen first? Another 300-game winner in Major League Baseball, or somebody breaking Emmitt Smith's rushing record with the way running backs are used in the NFL today? I don't think either one is going to get broken for a long, long time. Coach, the way the running back is used now, I mean, can you see somebody sustaining enough time to break Emmitt's record?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they quite get to that, because they're obviously
18,000 plus rushing yards.
Yeah, the emphasis obviously is more on the passing game now in today's football, but there's a couple teams, old school. You look at Tom Coughlin, those guys are doing in Jacksonville. There's still few of the dying breed left, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Look, man, I'm telling you, I think neither one is likely to happen, but there may be an outlier where some young guy comes on with an electric arm and is able to have a Jerry Rice type career in pitching. But the way the NFL is going right now, forget it, man. There's not going to be a running back that's going to play for as long as he is behind an offensive line. Like the Cowboys had, I think you can retire that record and put it away forever. I don't think anybody's getting.
If you're asking me who's going to get what would happen first,
yeah.
If something's going to happen first, I would say that would happen before a 300-game winner.
I see completely the opposite way. You're wrong, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, let's do talk radio. That is a ridiculous opinion. You're wrong. How dare you be that stupid?
I'm going home.
I hurt my feelings. Staying with what's going on and what's trending, congratulations to the Mets. They went from cheering on players in the Little League World Series to beating the Phillies 8-2. The whole thing in the Little League World Series Classic is so much fun seeing those guys interact with the Little League.
Well, listen, all these guys get to watch a Little League game, and they all came from Little League. Every pro athlete out there came from a Little League in their sport. So to go back and relive that and hang out with the kids, and after the game, the Mets and the Phillies did the line handshake that you don't really see in sports outside of hockey after a series in the playoffs. So very cool. As far as the game, Phillies lose that one. They're half game back from Atlanta. Washington is 7 out, but a nice battle there amongst more than a few really good battles going on in baseball. The Phillies and the Braves play 7 more times, the last 3 in Philly, the last 3 games of the regular season. So we'll see what's on the line by that time.
Yep. And we'll wrap up what's trending with Simone Biles doing Simone Biles type things.
So she has an incredible Olympics in 2016, basically takes 2017 off.
Yep.
Okay. So what does she do in 2018 at the U.S. Women's, the Worlds, or the U.S. Championship? She wins all 4 events and the all-around in an incredible performance. She's the second woman to win nationals 5 times, and the last time it happened was in the mid-40s, and the first woman since Dominique Dawes in 1994 to be first on the floor, the balance beam, the vault, and the uneven bar. So took the year off, came back. I think she's doing okay.
I think her time off was well spent.
Holy smokes.
Absolutely.
Impressive.
Congratulations to Simone Biles. By the way, when you said Dominique Dawes, 1994.
94.
We are so old.
So old.
We are so old.
We really are.
But hey, Golic and Wingo reminding you to grab your tickets. Thank you. For the Northern Trust Open in Paramus, New Jersey for Friday, August 24th. Come watch our show before taking in a day of championship golf in the first FedEx tournament of the PGA Tour playoffs. It'll be the second round. Should be a lot of fun. But as we said, John Fox, our new ESPN NFL analyst, in studio with us today. John, You made your living as a defensive coordinator. You made your name where the people first knew you as the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Thumbs up with the unit coming off the field, cap on backwards, all that kind of stuff. So as you see the way the new rules and the point of emphasis with the Aaron Rodgers rule is being implemented in football this preseason, as a defensive guy, do you say, how am I supposed to get players on the ground now?
Yeah, they've made it difficult. I think, here early on as they interpret and actually enforce this new rule, you see a lot of questionable calls, whether it is roughing the quarterback or it is a personal foul on a helmet-to-helmet contact. I think, forcible blow, I think ought to be in there a little bit more in this new rule than just an actual contact of the helmet. So hopefully this will get figured out before the regular season starts. And right now it's a little questionable.
What's figured out to you? If they came to you and said, Coach, we want you to break down a tackle for us from whether it's shoulder, head up, head down, whatever it is, how would you explain it to you that would be acceptable?
Well, as long as it's not a direct, crown of the helmet, and that's where a lot of the concussions are coming from in this area of your helmet. As long as it's not a forcible blow, I think I would allow still helmet to helmet, all right, as long as it's not forcible. For the quarterback protection, there used to be a time where if you just swat the quarterback in his helmet,
right,
it was a penalty. Well, now they changed that, better minds, prevailed, now it has to be a forcible blow to the helmet. So I think that ought to be in the rule somewhere.
How about landing on a quarterback? We just saw the call against one of the Minnesota Viking players. He was actually on his knees before he even landed on the quarterback. And I get it because I had a player in Clyde Simmons who was phenomenal at tucking up the quarterback and landing on him. I get not driving him into the ground, but just landing on him in some way being called a penalty.
Yeah, I think, that hit initially when I first saw it live on television. I was like, are you kidding me? But when you look at it in slow motion, you can kind of see a little bit of a twist of that right shoulder, and I think that's what they're being sensitive to and trying to avoid.
So how do you now as a coach? See, I get it in Little League what was going on in youth football with the practicing of the heads up and the shoulder, and so as I said, in 10 years, I think tackling will be better on all levels because you're starting at that youth level. These guys have had their 10,000 hours of doing it a certain way, and now they have to change in a sport where, especially now, you're down to one practice a day in pads, and a lot of times you're not going live. How do you get these players to emphasize these points when they don't really practice them?
Well, that's a great point. And, these are professional athletes. The coaching is outstanding at this level. They will adjust. That's what football players do. And will it be easy? No. Is it going to be really honed in right away? No. I mean, they kind of rolled this rule out without really consulting too much with the coaches. So I think we're a little behind. But these guys are the best in the world at what they do, and they will adjust. Is it, really my preference on where the game's going? Probably not, but I think it's best for our game. You've got moms and dads not letting their children play football right now. Right. And so the numbers are dwindling in the youth level. We talked about Little League earlier. Well, you don't want to see that in a game you love and care about. So I think it's going to be everybody's responsibility to get it figured out. Right now, I think we're experiencing those growing pains, but at the end, it'll be a little bit like what we did with defenseless receivers. I mean, I grew up in this game as a DB and a DB coach, and, that was some of the exciting things, or big hits across the middle, on defenseless receivers. So I think we've adjusted to that. I think this will be the next step.
John Fox with us, our new NFL analyst, of course, former head coach, not only with the Chicago Bears, but also with the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. We always say in preseason, just like players and coaches, the officials are working through preseason as well. We're going to see what happens, and we'll modify it as we go forward. And we've seen that happen in other points of emphasis in preseason. People get all riled up, and, then it's not as much in the regular season. But in both of these situations, with the new rule about lowering the helmet and also the point of emphasis, the Aaron Rodgers rule, for lack of a better term.
Right.
Is it going to change at all once the regular season rolls around? Because the way I see it, the NFL knows what their market is, and that is stars being on the field. The Tom Brady rule went into effect after the 2008 season because Brady was lost for the season. Can't hit him below the knee. Now that we have the Aaron Rodgers rule, I don't think that's going to be called any different in the regular season than it is now in the preseason. Do you think that's going to be the same? And do you think that the helmet rule will change at all in the regular season, the way it's called?
Yeah, I really do. And again, when you got 16 different crews and you got 16 different personalities, I mean, getting just even an individual crew, 16 of them on the same page is difficult. And that's going to be with any calls. It's been like that for holding. It's been like that for pass interference. Every crew is a little bit different, and these clubs do a lot of research on where these crews rank as far as particular calls. So, no stones left unturned as far as these guys when they start preparing for the regular season and game planning. But that will take a minute, and just like every other call, it'll be a little bit different per crew. So I think that's where we are right now.
John Fox joining us, former head coach for the Panthers, the Broncos, and the Bears, going to be with us this season. Also, how did you work preseason? And I guess take us through the process. You have a situation where you have one of the greatest to ever do it in Tom Brady and playing a half of football, and you got a coach in Sean McVay basically saying, you know what? I see what's going on the field out there, and Sean McVay saying my guys aren't even going to play in some of these preseason games. So how do you balance that, seeing one starter after another go down in these preseason games with injuries, saying, what the hell am I supposed to do?
Well, it's probably one of the harder things to do as a head coach. And as far as how you practice, how many times you're in pads, even against your own team, there's guys lost for the season in practice. I mean, forget about the games. But you do have to the whole thing is getting your guys ready for games, all right, with making sure you have enough guys ready to play games, at the end of it. So it's probably the laser fine line that you have to manage as a head coach as far as the contact. And look, you got to get in hitting shape. I mean, if you look at boxing, guys spend time on a little bag, guys spend time on the big bag. They train, they run, their road work, skip rope. But at the end of the day, they all still spar, and you got to practice being hit. Even in boxing or even in any combative sport. So, it is a fine line. If you look at what's happened, with really the Chargers and even the Vikings right now with loss of guys.
Right. Oh boy.
But it's part of the game. And, every year you kind of hold your breath on, guys getting hurt, especially season-ending injuries.
Yep, and one of the things that's also been going on is injuries to quarterbacks. We saw what happened with A.J. McCarron of the Buffalo Bills, as John Fox is with us in studio, our NFL analyst. And, he has a hairline fracture in that shoulder. He's getting a second opinion, but now it comes down to either Nathan Peterman, whose only start last year was 5 interceptions in the first half against the L.A. Chargers. That didn't work out. Or the rookie Josh Allen. Mel Kiper Jr. with a very strong opinion about you should not put Josh Allen out there in any way, shape, or form.
Josh Allen shouldn't be playing right away. It's a recipe for disaster. He's a rookie. He's going to be forced there with a very subpar supporting cast, and it's a mistake to start Josh Allen against Baltimore in Week 1. That would be a huge mistake. I don't care what anybody says about it. We know he's got more talent than Peterman and McCarron. They knew that going in. He's got more talent, but he's not ready. Peterman should start opening week against Baltimore. If he doesn't, it's a mistake.
So basically he's saying don't even think about putting Josh Allen in there. You got to go with Nathan Peterman. You lived through this last year when you guys had the high draft pick with Mitchell Trubisky. How did you weigh what you believed his talent to be versus what he was prepared for early on in the season? Well, how should Buffalo handle that?
Well, I think really, the talent level, Trey, I think is about where you drafted him and what you think of that talent level. There's no doubt. These guys, obviously, their personnel departments thought very highly of them to select them where they did. The problem with the quarterback position, and, I tried to avoid starting a rookie game one of the regular season, really all through my career. I just think it's not always fair, all right, both to the player as well as your football team. Now, let's make this point is any coach, all right, he owes that to the organization and owes that to his football team to start the guy that he believes and the coaching staff believes gives them the best opportunity to win. So every one of these things is individual. I had Mike Glennon, who had started many games as a professional football player. And so I started him the first 4 games, actually, and to start the season. Mitch definitely had the ability to do that, but, command of the offense, and I'm not talking about just what they do. There's a lot of things they have to direct, the football team, whether it's
Right.
the Mike point, whether it's a run pass check at the line of scrimmage based on the opponent when people start game planning opponents in the regular season. There's a command there. If the X is off the ball, guys line up and goofy things and do the wrong things, and you got to correct it. Or when to bring a guy in motion, how to utilize it, because there's a lot of things done with motion pre-snap. So there's just a lot to play in NFL football that these guys have to get caught up on fast.
And I have to say, I have been impressed with the rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I have all of them. I think they have all what they've been asked to do. They're doing it pretty darn well because remember, beginning of the college season, these guys were all like put up on pedestals. And then as the season went on, we started seeing in all of them, they all got broken down a little bit. We're like, maybe this draft class isn't as good as we thought. But I think they're doing a nice job, which leads me to this. Is this an overstatement when you hear one of the reasons you don't play a young quarterback is you can lose them if they get sacked too much or if the game's too big for them? Now, if their eyes are too wide, you wouldn't put them out there anyway. But if you think a guy's ready and you put him out there and they're not doing well, you hear, you can lose him mentally. Is that overrated? I think it is.
I do. I believe so too, Mike. I think, with any player, there's nothing like playing. There's no substitute for it. You can practice all you want. Don't get me wrong. Practice is very, very important. All right. But these game reps, you look at these preseason games, even though they might be a little bit vanilla, there's not been a lot of game planning. And what that means is these teams are installing their offenses and defenses through the preseason. All right. They're not spending 4 days preparing for, the particular opponent. So, right now, I do think too much is made of that, and there's nothing like playing.
All right, John Fox is with us, our NFL analyst in studio this week for all season long. The other interesting situation regarding a rookie quarterback is what the Jets are going to do. I think it's pretty clear that they're looking for reasons to start Sam Darnold, and it looks like it may be trending that way. Teddy Bridgewater has been the best quarterback this summer for the New York Jets. I don't think it's even close. If you were the Jacksonville Jaguars, would you inquire about a trade for Teddy Bridgewater? Because the potential you still see there for a team that, John, looks like it has almost everything else in place built around it. And again, we're not denigrating Blake Bortles, but if you can upgrade that position, and if you believe Teddy Bridgewater could be an upgrade at that position, how much do you weigh his ability and what he can bring versus to what it would do to the team if you decided to bring him in?
Well, I have great respect for him. I watched him in Minnesota in my time in Chicago, and
being Teddy.
Yes, talking about Teddy, and he had an awful injury not that long ago, and I think it says a lot about him. Everybody I talked to, whether it was from in college or even in the NFL, what a wonderful guy he is, and a leader, and a guy that does have that command. I think, he's helped himself in what he's accomplished thus far in this season. I think you're always looking at ways to improve your team. And if, I still think Blake Bortles is, they were one step away from being in the Super Bowl a year ago. And it's a very fine football team, in my opinion, one of the best out there, coming into the 18 season. But, look, you're always going to look for that. And I tell you what, he's helped himself a lot.
Would they be better if Teddy Bridgewater was on that team?
I think you can't get enough, too many good football players.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they feel about their backup plan as it is now, or what they think can put them over the edge. But I know this, Teddy Bridgewater's done a lot to help his career moving forward, coming off that very, very serious injury.
I believe right now Cody Kessler is the backup. How much would you have to think about as the head coach of saying, what could this do to the locker room? Like if all of a sudden Teddy Bridgewater's there, been playing well before he got injured and now playing well again, and that first couple of interceptions by Blake Bortles, forgetting the fans because you can't do what when all of a sudden players in the locker room start going, maybe we should think about a switch. How is that to manage as a coach?
Oh, it's really tough. Let me tell you this: players know before anybody. All right, whether it's the depth chart, who gives them the best chance. These players are smart, and they're in those trenches every day, all right, with their teammates, and they really know. I can't speak to exactly what's going on there in either place right now, but again, that's part about being a coach is making sure, all right, you make the right evaluation and you're starting the people to give you the best chance to win.
I don't want to put you in that situation because you're not there. I get it. But
we are putting you in that situation.
In a situation like that, would you talk to some of the veterans on the team before bringing in a guy like Teddy Bridgewater if you thought it may upset the apple cart in the locker room? Were you a coach that would do that, or just kind of make, you and the GM decide to make a move?
Well, I think you take all of the above. I mean, I think you talk to your GM, you talk to your personnel people. But let me tell you something. If you've got the right football team, all right, and the leadership, the football team, they're not afraid, and you want that culture where they're not afraid to speak their opinion and really voice it. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to do everything they say, all right, but, when you have the right kind of football team and that type of leadership, again, of course you take it into account.
I don't know if you pull Jalen Ramsey into the office.
You better ask the one guy, because he has a very strong opinion about every quarterback in football.
You don't have to ask him. He'll give the opinion.
I was about to say, before you ask the question, he'll give you the answer. Exactly no question. Right. John, we appreciate you being with us in the studio this morning. Look forward to sharing time with you all season long. John Fox, a great part of our football team here going forward in 2018.
When it comes to hiring, you don't have time to waste. You need help getting to your short list of qualified candidates fast. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. And when you need to hire fast, accelerate your results with sponsored jobs. New users can try for free at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Support for the Golic and Wingo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying homes for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a whole lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about it. They're calling it the power buying process, and here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. You win either way. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Golic. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data record. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike Golic, Trey Wingo here with you. A lot to talk about the Cleveland Browns. I will say this to begin with. The first two episodes of Hard Knocks have been endlessly entertaining. They really have. There's a lot of moving parts with what's going on there. Jarvis Landry dominating headlines so far, and Baker Mayfield and what he's been doing have been really interesting. And now a couple of things are also part of the combination here when we talk about the Cleveland Browns. First of all, Des Bryant had his visit.
Yes, he did.
And left without a contract, and head coach Hugh Jackson says, we talked and we'll see what happens with the former Cowboys All-Pro.
I think it was a good visit, but at the same time, he's not on our team, so, I'm going to worry about the guys that are here and coach the group that's here.
And again, he is not signed, and we don't know. We're not sure if he's going to sign.
Yeah, and we don't know the parameters. We don't know, is it money, what it was. We've heard Des Bryant say he's had more than a few phone calls from teams. We know he turned down, what was it, from Baltimore, $21 million over 3 years. Don't know if he's going to get that money anywhere else. We'll see. He says he had some options. Is he waiting for other places? Don't know. We talked about what kind of a fit would that be with a team trying to kind of get a new identity to bring in Dez, who can, be a handful at times. Certainly can be a good player on the field, but can be a handful too, especially if and when Baker Mayfield gets on the field at some point, probably this year, depending. You got to love and quite honestly, the way Tyrod Taylor is playing, he's going to be on the field this year for the Cleveland Browns because Tyrod is playing well.
He's played very, very well.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going on with Des Bryant and the Cleveland Browns, and we'll see how that plays out going forward. We have a clearer picture, kind of, sort of, with Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon is back with the team, but again, he's working through this progress. As he said, first and foremost, his sobriety and making sure that he stays sober is his number one priority. And league spokesman for the NFL, Brian McCarthy, told Cleveland.com that Gordon's return to the team is part of the process. Mm-hmm. He continues to make progress, no timetable for the next steps. He'll be moved from the did not report list to the active non-football injury list and will count against the roster. The Browns must clear a spot for him as this goes through the winding down process of training camp, and he can return to practice as soon as he's medically cleared. He can attend all meetings and conditioning sessions, but can't practice just yet. He can watch, but not participate.
Yeah, and said he is on pace to be there for the opener September 9th. Don't know if he's going to be getting in any preseason games before that, depending, again, on the process of when he can start to practice. He's going to need to start doing that before he can get into a preseason game. But if all follows along, he may be available for that first game. So he didn't show up for the beginning of camp, still needed he felt some work on not only the physical part of it, of what he's going through rehab, but mental as well. He's a guy that dealt with his anxiety, is well documented if you know anything about him, with alcohol and with marijuana. And two things, and now that if he gets caught, obviously with either, he's done.
Yep.
And listen, he has gotten more than a few chances. No doubt about that. He's trying to clean himself up. And for his life, let's hope that first and foremost has happened, because I don't care how much more football he plays, he's going to have a hell of a lot more life than he is going to have football. So him being straight is going to be the best thing for him, as far as the drugs and the alcohol are concerned, for the rest of his life, forgetting just in football. So we'll see. Listen, when he gets on the field, and that's the one thing that keeps hovering there, is the last limited action of him on the field. We saw when he played, 12 games? He led the league in, I think, receiving yards or whatever.
Led the league in receiving yards.
Crazy.
He was suspended for 2 games. Played
14. I'm sorry. How talented this guy is. Yeah. And as we keep saying, the more talented you are, the more rope you get. And let's just be flat out honest with this. If this guy was a backup player, he would not be getting chances like this. Not the fact that the league wouldn't, if you lived by the system, get a chance. Teams wouldn't be signing him. They just wouldn't.
Right.
But because of the potential there, he's going to get his opportunities. And everybody keeps saying, my God, if you can't make the most of every chance you're getting, what are you doing? Well, he's fighting, and I have never had these issues. I have not had mental issues. I have not had the physical issues with drugs or alcohol either. So I can't sit there and walk in his shoes and know how it's affecting him. But I do know, it looks as though this time, hopefully, that he's going in the right direction. And again, that's what you hope for a human being, forgetting a football player. Then if he can be that way and he can get active, boy, what he could do on the football field once you transfer to that part of it, to when you start talking about Josh Gordon, the football player, as opposed to Josh Gordon, in rehab or trying to get back on the field, then it will be very interesting how productive he can be on the field.
And again, for those that missed it, he announced he was back in a post on Twitter over the weekend. Basically, he thanked the NFL, the NFLPA, and the entire Browns organization for getting him through this process. But the last paragraph says, as I humbly return to being a member of this team with an opportunity to get back to playing this game I love, I realize in order for me to reach my full potential, my primary focus must remain on my sobriety and mental well-being. With that, he added, let's get back to work.
And let's also be blunt about this. That all sounds good.
Yep.
Actions are going to speak a hell of a lot louder than words.
Question.
Okay,
no question.
He's getting another chance. Again, most of that because of his talent. Let's not beat around the bush on that one. Let's hope he can take advantage of it, and let's hope his actions speak a hell of a lot louder than the words.
Yep. A couple of other updates we got for you. Of course, we had the A.J. McCarron situation with the hairline fracture. He's seeking a second opinion. And it looked like A.J. was online to be the starter week 1 for the Bills. Sean McDermott, the head coach, said McCarron will not practice Monday, that he's spoken to GM Brandon Beane about bringing in a third quarterback. So they're preparing for the idea that they're going to need to get somebody else.
Yeah, going to miss him for a little while. So Nathan Peterman and Josh Allen are the two guys battling right there. And we heard the sound from our own Mel Kiper saying there's no way you would put Josh Allen on the field for week 1. I'll go back to it again, Trey.
Yeah.
I think all these, and we'll get to see Lamar Jackson again tonight as Baltimore plays the Indianapolis Colts. But these rookie first-rounders I'm talking about, man, I like what I've seen. Yeah. Again, in what they've been asked to do, because Sam Darnold, again, looked good, but look at his yards per attempt. It's what? It was, again, 5-some yards.
Right.
The limited times he's thrown downfield, certainly at times it's looked good. Other times, not so much. Just like with the other. They look like rookies at times, but for the most part, what they went through, as I talked about when John Fox was here, going into the college season, we were all raving about these guys, saying what a class it's going to be. Halfway through the college season, we were like, maybe they're not as good as we think. And now I I really think they all, from poise to moving in the pocket to some throws you see, oh yeah, that's what we saw and we liked about him, to then some throws, got fooled, guy with DB, you thought he had the back in man coverage, the back blocks, coverage there, so he dropped back and all of a sudden it's an interception. So obviously there's a learning process to go through, but I do like what these guys are doing.
I do, and I thought the guy that made the biggest step up from week 1 to week 2, now granted it was with the second team, and I understand all of that, but if you understand that you are in that situation, you want to see him do well, and he did. I thought it was Josh Allen. I thought Josh Allen from week 1 of the preseason to week 2 of the preseason improved the most out of all of those guys. But now we're heading into the critical week 3 of the preseason. And just so people understand, Mike, explain why the third preseason game, or if you play the Hall of Fame game, why that one is most important.
This one's called the dress rehearsal. This one is the one where the starters will play the most. They will play normally. Now, there are still some coaches who are different with this. Normally, they'll play into the third quarter. Normally, they'll play a half. They'll go through whatever adjustments at halftime they're going to do. And again, here it's not a ton because they're just basing off their game plan, not game planning their opponent at this point. And then come out and play some in the third quarter, and then that'll be it. And then in the fourth preseason game, you will barely see a starter. Yeah. You will barely. That's where all the back end guys have their last chance at trying to make a team or showcase themselves, at least on some tape, if they're not going to be on the team they're on, to showcase themselves for another team. But this is the game where you're going to see your starters the most. So quite honestly, it's the one you'll watch the most because the starters play the most, but it's also the one you're going to hold your breath the most. Because you got way more reps for the starters out there. And we seem to say this every year. Man, the players that are going down. Yeah. Each year. And John Fox said it as well. This is happening. We're losing guys in practice as well. Just ask the San Diego Chargers, about losing guys in practice, let alone the games where if you watch the Vikings play, it was like a mash unit for a while there about guys getting carted off the field. It makes you sick to your stomach having to watch that.
It is. The problem is there's no other way to prepare for football than play football.
It's exactly right.
And that's why the preseason is important. As our good friend,
unless you're Sean McVay, he's just saying, I'm not having my guys done.
That's exactly
They're not playing.
As Mark Schlereth, our old buddy, says, it may not count, but it matters. And that's what we see happening going forward.
That's right.
All right, coming up, we've got important news about a sister and a savior.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
We'll get into the bitterness a little bit between Ricky
and
Russell Westbrook. After Game 4, somebody's tune changed a little bit after what he said he was going to do before Game 4.
Are you coming on that novel story brewing there? It's your experience for the readers. Twists and turns. Everybody learns the hero's journey isn't always a happy one.
Your voice did get pretty high.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sports Center brought to you by Valspar Stain. Just a reminder, if doing your deck is on your to-do list this summer, put new Valspar Stain on your shopping list. That way, you can get all-weather protection and more inspiring color. Valspar exterior stains only at Lowe's.
All right, Golic and Wingo here with you on a Monday morning. Glad you're with us. We've been having this discussion about the best breakfast carb specifically for a sandwich, which was not noted accurately on the poll, which led to all kinds of confusion, including me very upset that hash browns weren't in there. But it seems like the hot button topic, Mike, has been biscuit or no biscuit.
Right.
And people are weighing in very heavily one way or the other on our voicemail line, 860-506-5505, about that. And here is someone who is extremely pro-biscuit.
Hey, this is Q from South Dakota. Biscuits hands down the best. The only problem is you better have something to drink while you're eating it because it'll dry your mouth out. But I love the biscuit.
I agree with that. That's another question you can ask when eating one of the four choices we have. Which could you get by without having to have a drink every time? The biscuit, I agree. I do, unless you're having biscuits and gravy, I get it. But like a biscuit regular or biscuit sandwich, you need to have some drink with it every single time.
You need something to wash it.
Yeah,
a bagel would fall into that category, too. You need something else. Now, of course, this led us on to the discussion about biscuits and gravy, and somebody's like, biscuits and gravy is the dumbest thing ever. Clearly, he's never been south of Virginia.
That's exactly right.
Or south of Maryland, quite frankly. And then someone went off on a completely different gravy tangent.
Golic, I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not. The best breakfast that you can have on a Sunday morning is biscuits and chocolate gravy, good hot pork sausage. If you've not tried it, it's a Southern dish, but it's killer. Check it out.
See, to me, that's not gravy.
Yeah.
That's just liquid chocolate,
which
is good.
Listen,
we have no problem with liquid chocolate.
There's nothing wrong with that, and I'll give it a try. I don't understand why you said just on Sundays.
Yeah.
I mean,
why limit yourself?
Why are we limiting ourselves to 1/7 of the week?
Why don't we limit it to days that end in Y?
I would say that's
there
a
we
good
go,
idea.
and that's
your choice.
That's the parameter. Speaking of Sundays, did you see what happened Sunday at the in Chicago?
I did
for the White Sox game against Kansas City Royals. Sister Mary Jo Kobiak from Marian Catholic High School threw out the first pitch, and she was a boss.
It's incredible.
First of all, they caught her warming up, and she did the old pop the baseball off the bicep and caught it. Fantastic.
Incredible.
Then she doubles down from the rubber. She wasn't on the front of the mound.
She was not on the front of the mound.
Front of the rubber, and threw a sinker for a strike.
I don't know if it was actually a sinker. I mean, it was a ball, I think, that maybe had enough speed that looked like it was I don't think
I'm giving her sinker.
I don't think in a repertoire, all of a sudden, she said, I'm going to pull out a sinker here. But
the bicep pop is
I
just
get what you're
money.
saying. Listen, and the biggest thing, because as mean it would have sounded, I wouldn't have given her as much credit had she been throwing from the grass.
But she didn't.
But she didn't. She was on the mound. Because you hear some places, like the first pitches like Greeny and I threw out, we threw from the mound. And others, though, you hear you have to throw from the front of the mound because they don't want you on the mound. So sometimes you don't have a choice. Quite honestly, they may have told her to pitch from the front of the mound, and she said, I'm pitching on the mound. Yeah. What are you going to do? Yeah. You're going to tell her no?
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to tell her none? No, you're not.
No.
So she rifled one from the rubber and was fantastic.
It was great.
After the bicep pop,
yeah.
I mean, the form was fantastic.
Clearly, this was not her first time holding a baseball.
I completely agree with that.
By the way, according to a 2008 article, she's a nun at Marian Catholic High School. According to a 2008 article from the Times of Northwest Indiana, Sister Mary Jo played both volleyball and softball while attending the College of St. Scholastica in Minnesota after her graduation from Cathedral High School in 1987. So I think we have to say that was a divine pitch by her. That was 10 out of 10. So if her first pitch was 10 out of 10, how did you rate yours?
Oh, mine was like I bounced my first one, so that's a 0.
Yeah.
But
you came back strong after that, right?
but you're asking my first one. They said airmail it before you bounce it.
Yeah.
And again, I'll say I had a great guy before I went out there. He said, "You throwing from the mound?" I said, "Yeah, we're both throwing from the mound." He said, "Make sure you release high because you're stepping down on the mound."
Right.
And I, thinking I was a stud, former professional athlete.
Dude.
Yeah, blah. All I heard was blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right? Come on, it's a pitch. How hard can it be? Yeah. I played Little League baseball.
You played high school baseball even though you forgot about it.
I forgot. I was a pro athlete. So I get in the mound, and I mean, sure enough, I step, and as I released the ball, I swore because I knew I'm like, oh, in that millisecond, it's amazing the amount of thought you can have. Oh. I went, blank. Yeah. And I thought, dude was right.
Yeah.
Because my release point was bad and it hit about 3 feet in front of the catcher. And I got booed, and I deserved to get booed.
Well, listen, the voices in your head in that millisecond, every time you step over a golf ball sometimes.
Yeah,
CT Pan had that situation. Now, in your situation when you did it, did you practice before?
No, not before. The only thing I could do was Greeny and I played catch on the side.
Okay.
Just kind of.
Because you could have gone maybe to the bullpen and stepped
no,
on the mound
we didn't do that. We just kind of played catch. I played catch with kids in the stands just to kind of warm up my arm.
I would have gone straight to the bullpen.
And I'm throwing. How am I going to throw different in the bullpen than I'm going to throw?
No, but there's a mound there. It would give you a chance.
That's
feel
true.
like what it would be
that's
off
true.
the mound.
So what I did after that. Yeah. Is I was on the mound and I took a little step behind the rubber. Yeah. So when I stepped, I was stepping on the flat top of the mound.
Right.
The whole time I wasn't stepping down anymore, and I just put a little more juice on it, and I made it there.
I think what happened to you here sums up that old phrase: failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yeah, I did. I
should have taken 1 or 2 steps on 1 or 2 throws on the mound. I think you would have. I get it now.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
now.
I blew it. I looked bad. Sister showed me up. She was great.
Sister act was very impressive.
Yep.
All right, coming up, we got some questions. Are the Jets going to trade Teddy Bridgewater? Who should be trading for Teddy Bridgewater? Is Des Bryant going to last anywhere? And is the Savior ready to come back in Philadelphia? Stay with us.
Message and data rates may apply.
When did it become okay for men to be lazier, softer, fatter? We need to bring the men of this country back to greatness with Ageless Male Max, a patent-pending formula with an ingredient that helps boost your total testosterone, promoting greater increases in muscle size and twice the reduction of body fat percentage than exercise alone. Plus, an amazing 64% increase in nitric oxide, which can be handy in the gym and in the bedroom. Take your manhood to the max by trying your first 30-day bottle free. Not 10 days, not 15 days, but a full 30-day supply free when you text the word SKILL to 797979. Just pay shipping and handling. Finally, a formula that boosts total testosterone. If your results with Ageless Male Max are too intense, please decrease use. For your free bottle, text SKILL to 797979. Text SKILL to 797979.
The Sport Clips Haircuts Head of the Class giveaway. Register for your chance to win a Razor laptop and more at sportclips.com/back-to-school and go straight to the head of the class with an MVP experience. So check in online today. No purchase necessary. 50 USDC age 18 plus. Ends 8/24/18.
Hope your Monday's off to a good start. Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Our phone guest joined us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can get in touch with us, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at Golic and Wingo, or call us up, 860-506-5505. Let us know what you think about our poll question, things we've talked about today, or more specifically, because we're going to get into this later on this hour, who won the weekend. Because that's always a very important thing, who won the weekend. We'll get to all of that going forward. Coming up in just a little bit, ESPN Insider Extraordinaire, the NFL version, Adam Schefter will join us. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, walk-up music for Adam Schefter as he's joining us right now.
Got to have his walk-up music. We had his walk-out music last time.
Out of here.
Got your walk. How are we doing, big boy?
Well, I don't know my IFB.
That's right.
All right.
Well, to hear the walk-up music that I think I might know.
We didn't have it, though.
We didn't have it.
Oh, okay. Well, then I missed anything.
Oh, now it's playing. Now we got it.
I can't hear it.
That's okay, but
turn off your... Still not hearing it. We're still working out the kinks 9 months in.
We'll get it.
We'll get there eventually. Yeah, Clearly, it's going to take longer than it takes to make a baby for this to make this show correct. We'll get it straight eventually. Adam, a lot to get into with you, and we'll get into it quickly after we do what's trending. And the Yankees swept the Blue Jays. It was an impressive sweep, and they pulled to within 9.5 games of not winning the AL East.
I mean, seriously, the line is the Yankees swept the Blue Jays, have pulled within 9.5 games. It should say they swept the Blue Jays and pulled it within, still not going to win the division.
Correct. Within hosting the wild card game.
Yeah, I mean, J-Happ did stay unbeaten with New York, so that's been a positive sign there. Didi Gregorius, he went down first base, ran into the first baseman who was in the line trying to take a one hopper. He bruised his heel, went back on the field, then later came off, may have a stint on the DL, so we'll keep an eye on that. But J-Happ's been a very positive story for the Yankees since he's been there.
No question about it. Staying in baseball, the Cubs' Yu Darvish leaves rehab after one inning. Had been sidelined by that triceps and elbow injury, shook his arm as he left the field for single-A South Bend after throwing a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. That doesn't look good.
So he went out in the second inning to do warm-up pitches and threw about 6 of them. And every single pitch he threw, he grimaced. And the catcher went out after the 6-1 and called the manager over and said, now, you know what, they talked about it for a bit, and then he went in, said he felt something in there when he was throwing. So no good signs there at all.
No bueno in any way, shape, or form. And then there's this.
Here
the Chicago White Sox have called up one of their top prospects.
Yes.
But it's not Eloy Jimenez.
No.
It's pitching prospect Michael Kopech, the team announced Sunday. Kopech will make his Major League debut Tuesday against Minnesota at Guaranteed Rate Field. Now, Kopech has been one of the guys that our boy Devin has been going on, but it's not his boy Eloy.
Hey, baby, go White Sox.
All right, Devin, what do you got on Kopech?
So if they wait just 6 more weeks and then 2 weeks at the beginning of next season, they gain another year of control.
So this is like Chris Bryant with the Cubs,
exactly.
What you're talking about with Eloy Jimenez.
Same goes with Vlad Guerrero Jr. and the Blue Jays.
So wait, so what do they need to do with Eloy? Not play him at all?
No, they can play him in AAA, but if they can't call him up.
No, I mean not call him up for how long?
For 6 weeks, 6 more weeks this year, and then two more weeks in the next season.
So all this talk about them calling him up, and we thought they were going to do it. Now you don't think they will, so they can control him.
I think
more.
he's too good. They don't want to use. They don't want to lose a year of his prime.
They won't play him in the big league because he's too good.
Yes, because they want to gain another year of his prime. Yeah, exactly.
Right. This is all about holding down contract rights.
Right.
That's exactly
How about
what
that?
it is.
Nice news.
Yeah, congratulations. You're too good, so we're keeping you at a lower
we're keeping
inferior
you down.
level.
Yeah.
So it is. Such it is to be the White Sox. What did you say there, big boy?
Hey, baby, go White Sox.
Oh, okay. Here we go. We got our walk-up music one more time. We're going to try this. Turn off your mic. It is good, Adam. It's very good. And how did you settle on that one?
We asked him.
I know.
Yeah, basically, I remember
he came in and I just said, if you had some walk-up music, what would it be? And this is a song he picked. Yeah. We got it by the end of the segment. We used it as his walk-out music,
which
he
we will
walked
do
out
again.
to this.
Brian McKnight, Diana King.
Right. There you go.
Basically, it was a song that was attached to this video that I saw when I was covering the Broncos back in Denver. Local station KUSA put it to images, and the whole song is just great if you listen to the whole song.
Yeah, we will listen to the whole song. But now we want to listen to you.
Yeah,
As Adam Schefter, our NFL insider and host of the Adam Schefter podcast, joins us in studio, giving the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts, new podcast. You talk to Can't Guard Mike. Michael Thomas, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints.
He's good.
Yes, he is very, very good. Speaking of very, very good, Teddy Bridgewater has been very, very good this preseason. I think it's pretty clear he's going to be playing somewhere else.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I mean, I'm not telling you that he won't be. Okay. You're saying it's pretty clear that he'll be playing somewhere else, and I don't know about that.
That's a fair assessment. But let me ask you this:
yeah.
If you were a team that needed a quarterback and felt pretty good about things, which team should be trying to make a trade for Teddy Bridgewater? Because to me, the first one that jumps up is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They love Blake Bortles. I know people don't want to hear that. Okay,
it's not that I don't want to hear it. That's not true.
But they are in the Blake Bortles corner, and as much as I agree with you that it would make some sense to bring him in, if you brought him in, first of all, I think then you are sabotaging Blake Bortles, a guy that took you to the AFC Championship game last year and nearly won the game. And yes, is Teddy Bridgewater a better quarterback than Blake Bortles? Probably. Would he give that team a better chance? Probably. Is that a move that I see that team making? I don't see that happening. I just don't see that. Maybe I'm going to be completely surprised later on. We don't know what's going to happen. Look, at this time last year, the Jaguars were debating about which quarterback would start because Bortles struggled so much. And they named Bortles the starter. They stood behind him, and I thought he rewarded them for that. And so, to me, I don't see that. To me, I could say, how about Tampa or Miami?
That was the next question I had.
Those would be two teams that are interesting. Now, again, they like Ryan Fitzpatrick. But Jameis also, he's got the fifth-year option next year. I think he brings you some valuable insurance there in Tampa. I don't think the Buccaneers are doing anything as much as we think that could make some sense. And the Miami Dolphins are another team only because Ryan Tannehill also in a similar situation where there's no more guaranteed money in his contract. Teddy's from the Miami area. I think that could be a connection, but I don't see anybody right now making that move for him. I don't see that. But again, we're not into the trading period when rosters are being set and teams are making final decisions. But if you were a team that had interest in Teddy Bridgewater, wouldn't you want to get him in there now to learn your system? And with every day that goes by, to me, his value to another team shrinks that much more. And I just don't see it happen. He's got 1 year on his contract. He's a free agent after this year. So if you're a team with a starting quarterback, let's say Miami, are you signing Teddy Bridgewater after this year? No. So then you're giving up, let's just say, a third, fourth-round pick for a guy who could be walking at the end of the year anyway. And if you're the Jets, you hold on to Teddy Bridgewater, who looks like he could be a really good quarterback. He gives you another great option. And if and when he leaves after this year to sign the contract that we're talking about, then the Jets get a comp pick that would be comparable to that.
Right.
So why do they move now?
So, all right, question about that. First and foremost, I said the exact same thing about Jacksonville. I agree with you. They won't. I think they should, though. To sit there and say you'll sabotage or lose Blake Bortles, I'm so sick and tired of that narrative of a professional athlete not being able to deal with another guy coming in and being a backup, and you might lose him mentally. You know, maybe I don't want the guy if I'm going to lose him mentally. But I agree with you. I don't think they're going to do it for that reason, though. I don't think they want to mess up what's going on.
To date,
there.
have the Jaguars had a single conversation with the Jets? I don't believe they have.
I'm with you. I think they should do it.
So this is all media speculation.
Right.
It's interesting, but I don't think it's going anywhere right now.
So you saying Teddy may stay? Are the Jets going to? Because we keep talking about RG3 possibly being gone in Baltimore, keeping two. You think the Jets are going to keep three quarterbacks?
Well, again, just because there's so much conversation about Teddy Bridgewater, and just because the Jets are open to listening to offers for him, doesn't mean that there's another team that's willing to make a deal for him. So I mean, I don't know if they've had any substantial conversations.
I guess my point isn't really trade anymore, is even cutting. Do you see the Jets keeping 3 quarterbacks? Do you see Baltimore keeping 3 quarterbacks? Or are guys like Teddy Bridgewater and RG3 going to be on a you know what, we have no room for you because we're going to keep 2 quarterbacks?
I think Teddy Bridgewater and Robert Griffin III are in different categories right now.
I agree with that.
Okay, so I think there are people who would want Teddy Bridgewater as their starting quarterback, and I don't think that the same is true of RG3 right now. We're not talking about RG3 2014, whatever year his rookie year was.
2012.
2012. We're talking about RG3 2018. So there's a difference there. And the Jets, when we talk about keeping 3 quarterbacks, if those 3 are part of your best 53, then yeah, you keep 3 quarterbacks. It's pretty simple.
Okay. What is also appearing to be pretty simple, Adam, as we're here with Adam Schefter, our NFL insider. Mike Rodak, our fine Bills reporter for the Buffalo Bills, just tweeted this out. Head coach Sean McDermott said Josh Allen will work with the first-team offense in Monday's practice, and Nathan Peterman will run the second-team offense. Why is that significant? Because week 3 of the preseason is the dress rehearsal for your starters for week 1.
Well, let me say this. Yesterday, Sunday, Nathan Peterman ran first-string offense, starting offense, and Josh Allen ran second, and Sean McDermott said they're rotating it. So the fact that they are rotating, I just think the bigger thing is that it shows you that the Bills are and should be open to starting Josh Allen on opening day, and he's going to be given the chance to impress this week. I kind of think that we'll see him start this week in the 3rd preseason game. That'd be my guess because they want to see whether or not he can do it. Look, when A.J. McCarron suffers the injury that he does, I think it opens the door for Josh Allen to go start. So they're getting looks at him with the first-team offense, seeing whether or not they want to go that route. He's been impressive so far, looks the part. And, look, we talked about the quarterbacks in the 2018 draft class, and I think we're going to continue talking about them because we're talking about Darnold and Allen and Rosen being very good in Arizona right now and Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield. I mean, these guys look like they have a chance to be.
They're playing well.
Yeah, they look like they have a chance to be exactly what their teams thought, which is good news.
And I thought Josh made the biggest jump from week 1 of the preseason to week 2 of the preseason.
And quite honestly, how they're doing it, I agree with.
Rosen.
I agree with how they're doing it. Give each of those players a day with the starters, not splitting the team.
Right.
Give Peterman a day with the ones, then give Allen a day with the ones, so you get the whole practice and get in the flow with that first unit.
You know what's funny about this? When the draft occurs and these players are brought to their respective teams, every team talks about, hey, we want to move slowly.
Oh,
we
yeah.
take it
Blah,
along.
blah.
We don't want to rush it. And then as soon as we get to the preseason, Darnold's ready to start.
He's ready to go.
Josh Allen's taking reps to the first team.
Yeah.
Josh Rosen's challenging.
The
Browns, to their credit, have dismissed the idea of Baker Mayfield starting the season, for Tyrod Taylor starting the season. So that's good.
Adam Schefter with us in studio, Golic and Wingo, presented by 1-800-Flowers.com. Surprise a friend or loved one, or Adam, with a bouquet of 1-800-Flowers.com. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you get another dozen absolutely free. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. So we've had at least one rookie, Adam, start week 1 of the regular season for 10 straight years. Do you think we'll now see 2 in Sam Darnold with the Jets and Josh Allen with the Bills?
Well, it certainly looks like that's
trending
in that way. I like, who knows how the 3rd and 4th weeks of the preseason will play out, whether Sam Bradford will remain upright. I mean, there are a lot of things, but I will say this, Trey. I think I would feel reasonably confident in saying that streak would be extended to 11 straight years in one way or another, whether that's Darnold or Allen or both. It certainly seems like these rookie quarterbacks are tracking at least one to start week 1 of the NFL season.
Completely agree with that one. Washington is bringing in every person that ever ran a football because they're decimated at the running back position, including a 33-year-old named Adrian Peterson. He still have a place in the NFL?
Yeah, I think he does. And here's what's going on there, basically. They lost Darius Geis to a season-ending injury. They lost Samaje Perine, though that's not anything serious right now. Byron Marshall has an ankle injury that looks like it's significant. So they're down 3 running backs. Now, what they want to do is they need another running back to help them get through the preseason games. So they're not going to sign Jamal Charles or Adrian Peterson right now, today, yesterday, this week. I don't think that's going to happen. But they may sign another young running back this week.
For reps, right?
And they're bringing in Charles and Peterson to look at them to see if they want to sign them next week or right before the start of the regular season. They don't need Jamal Charles or Adrian Peterson to be ready for weeks 3 and 4 of the preseason. They need him to be ready for week 1 when the Redskins open the season.
And I think, Adam, that's a very important part of this preseason puzzle that people forget sometimes. You do need bodies to finish some of these games because there are guys that you know are going to be on your team and you feel like they've done enough work and you want to protect them, for lack of a better term. So whether it's right or wrong, fair or unfair, and you'll never say this to the guys when you bring them in, they're bringing in to just get through the rest of the summer, right?
That's what this is about.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Redskins will wind up signing a running back this week. And when you hear that they've signed a running back, don't be surprised when it's not Jamal Charles and Adrian Peterson. And don't think that the chances of them landing one of those veterans basically has closed, because that's still a possibility. It's just a week down the line possibility, a little bit closer to the regular season.
So when we're watching preseason games and we see flag after flag of either the helmet rule or your part of your body landed on the quarterback just a little too hard, so we're going to throw a flag, should we all, and you can tell my sarcasm, and most defensive players have a lot of this sarcasm, should we all just relax and realize that this may change, or this is preseason and a regular season, or is it right to have our blood boiling right now?
Well, I think that's the hope, that you would think that officials are trying to send a message. The league is trying to send a message. They're enforcing penalties that won't be enforced once the regular season begins. But there's no question that the league is making a concerted effort to try to get out the message that certain hits are not going to be accepted. And if it means that there's so much discussion of the issue, like right now in the preseason, and it helps players into the regular season, I think that the league accomplishes their goals. I think a lot of people hope, at the very least, that some of these rules are going to be relaxed a little bit once the regular season begins. Look, everybody's for a safer NFL, and everybody wants to see certain hits and tackles taken out of the game. But the fact of the matter is, you lead with your head, as Richard Sherman tweeted out this weekend, and it's creating a lot of confusion. Yeah. We had the NFL in last week to give a presentation.
I heard that was something.
It was
when Rex Ryan was doing a form tackle on Bill Polian.
Oh my! They were going back and forth with Al Riveron, the head of officials, and again, this was my interpretation, so I don't want to say that. It was difficult for Al to explain exactly what was going to be happening this year in a meeting. So now you're going to games,
at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, Adam, players have said the same thing when they have these meetings with officials. They're having a difficult time. Malcolm Jenkins hit on Brandon Cooks in the Super Bowl. When they went there, the officials to the Eagles, some of the refs said, it would be a penalty now, and some of them said it wouldn't. So there's massive confusion on this, and we'll see how that shakes out as we go forward.
There's no consistency.
Yes.
And they need consistency, whatever form that takes.
All right, so we're here with Adam Schefter, our NFL insider. One thing that I thought was interesting this week that's going to be happening is that Carson Wentz is going to be doing 11-on-11 drills, splitting times with Nick Foles, with the ones there. What do you make on what we're seeing from Carson Wentz and his progression, and where the Eagles think he may be in relation to starting the season?
Progress, but again, as my dear partner Mort reported over the weekend, Wentz is not expected to play in the preseason. So now let's just take some information off that fact. If that is indeed true, and I believe it, that Mort is right, and he's not going to play in the preseason, are the Eagles going to be willing to trot him out on opening night 2 weeks from this Thursday against the Falcons without having gone through any preseason reps? And I think you'd hesitate to say that they would. The other part about this is the Eagles have a new medical staff this year. And do you think that this new medical staff that's in its new position and its first significant decision is going to sign off and clear the face of the franchise to go play?
They got to be pretty secure in their jobs if that's the case.
That is really bold.
Yeah.
And so for that reason alone, it makes you wonder whether Carson wants to be clear for the open. I think, look, they're going to see how these couple of weeks go. We'll see how Nick Foles' shoulder is feeling, even though he was practicing and he didn't miss any time. But I think the signs point to right now Nick Foles starting on opening night.
And again, it's important to stress this. Carson Wentz blew out his knee in December. In December.
9 to 12 months, they said.
Adrian Peterson is the only guy I know
who ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, and ruined Christmas Eve that December, and came back the next season, played week 1, and almost broke the single-season rushing record.
So he did ruin it for everybody. Really quick, the obligatory Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, Odell Beckham.
Obligatory.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
And Odell, you really wonder if he's going to step on the field at all, even in the regular season, see what happened with Zach Martin.
Well, Aaron Donald, there are a lot of people who thought a deal would get done last week. There are still some people optimistic that it could get done
zip code talk.
Yeah, listen, I think there's ongoing dialogue. Both sides want to get it done. I don't believe that they're much closer right now than they've been, but I think there are some parameters in place if they can get everything figured out. My guess is there's so much at stake here with both sides, with all the ongoing dialogue, that they'll get something done by the start of the season, the week before. That's my guess.
Yep.
We'll see how it goes. It could fall apart. They've been doing this for 20, 21 months and haven't been able to get it done.
All right. Then the obligatory Des Bryant question. If not Cleveland, where?
I'll tell you what, it's the one and only place he's visited so far. And so there have been teams that have been interested in him that he has not reciprocated. And I think there's teams that he's been interested in that have not been
not reached out to him, right?
So it just hasn't worked so far. There hasn't been a match, and I don't know right now what the match would be.
Well, the match for you is that wonderful song that will be your walkout music. Golic and Wingo remind you to grab your tickets for the Northern Trust Open in Paramus, New Jersey for Friday, August 24th. Come watch the show before taking in a day of championship golf, which would be the second round of the FedEx playoffs, the first of the FedEx playoff tournaments and the PGA Tour. Brother, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, guys, have a great day.
Adam Schefter.
When it comes to hiring, you don't have time to waste. You need help getting to your short list of qualified candidates fast. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. And when you need to hire fast, accelerate your results with sponsored jobs. New users can try for free at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Support for the Golic and Wingo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying homes for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a whole lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about it. They're calling it the power buying process, and here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. You win either way. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Golic. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data record. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests joined us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike, I thought it was interesting in that little rejoinder we played. The hit on how to hit somebody with the helmet is now the new catch rule. So does the NFL just, because we haven't been talking about what a catch or isn't a catch. That was brilliant. Suddenly we've just moved on to another thing here.
What else was interesting is, Ed Hockley retiring and his kid now, one of the referees.
Yep.
I'm not going to lie, I got tired of seeing his kid calling these penalties.
Well, apple tree, yada, yada. You should know, as the person that sits to your right for the first 2 hours of this program, doesn't fall far. So are we overreacting to what we're seeing in the summer, or is this the new standard heading into the regular season in 2018 in the NFL? For more on the confusion and the uproar, for lack of a better term, on the rules and the points of emphasis, we are delighted to be joined on the show by Mike Pereira, the Fox Rules analyst and former VP of officiating for the NFL. All right, Mike, let's lay it all out there. After 2 weeks, people seem very much up in arms about, first and foremost, the lowering of the helmet rule and how it's being called in the NFL. Is this going to be the way we'll see it in the regular season, or just like coaches and players, are the officials using the preseason to try and make sure we get this right?
Well, look, you got to focus on control, 2 feet, and then an element. Oh, wait a minute, that's not even an issue anymore.
Exactly.
It's amazing. All summer long, I studied what a catch was, and now we're to the helmet. I think that we're overreacting a little bit because. And I've said this a couple times in the preseason. I used to tell officials, all right, we're going to make a point of this point of emphasis. So we're going to throw, and we're going to have a lot of penalties, and we're going to take the criticism. But once the regular season starts, we're going to back off a bit. And people used to ask me, do you officiate differently in the preseason than you do in the regular season? and I would lie and say no, when in reality, we always try to make a point of something. So there is that going on. This is a little bit more dangerous, though, to take that approach, because I think you're putting so much confusion into everyone's eyes, not only the players, but the officials themselves. As I watch these games, I look at some of these hits and say, there just is no way that this can be a foul. And you look now to see what created the confusion. And to me, what created this confusion is the broad rule of the helmet. I was okay with the crown of the helmet when it came to the tackler versus the runner. I was okay with that. But this now, to make it the side of the helmet, any part of the helmet except the face mask, or if it's a quarterback and a quarterback sneak, I'm a little bit concerned about how broad it is. And I would like to be a fly on the wall in New York, in the officiating command center, to see what, in fact, they're actually saying to the officials at this point. Because if they are, and you grade preseason games just like you do regular season games, if they are hammering the officials and giving them no calls, which means this was a helmet hit that should have been called, if they're hammering them, then look out, because that will carry over into the regular season. But my heart of hearts tells me that even though it's Al Riveron, it's likely the same as Dean Blandino, Carl Johnson, myself, and Jerry Seaman. I think they're making a point trying to change the culture. And quite frankly, even though we're focused on a number of hits that we're seeing called that look to be certainly like they're not fouls, I kind of think I'm buying the Kool-Aid a little bit, because I'm seeing the game played a little bit different, still big hits, but less, head hits. And so we'll see, but I'm going to go with what I said long ago, that once the regular season starts, it's not going to be as big an issue as we thought it would be.
Mike, one of the bigger problems I was having was not so much the head hits, because I agree with you 100% on everything you said there as far as the crown of the head. You drop that and hit and lead with that and hit with that. I get wanting to penalize that. But I've seen a couple of defensive backs run up and what would have been big hits in the past where they just dive through the guy. They're actually breaking down, which is exactly what you'd like them to do. They're putting their head down a bit, but they're hitting with their shoulder. They're not even hitting the receiver in the head at all, and they're getting flagged for it. So I guess I'm always going to think, as a former player, thinking, what the hell am I supposed to do if I'm getting called for this? Am I supposed to just wait for the regular season and hope that they don't do it as much when I'm trying to learn what I need to be doing on the field right now?
And that's the danger to me, Mike, is that you've got that, what are you telling the player at this point? But let's also go to the eyes of the officials. They've never had to call this before. I mean, this is nothing the open field stuff where it was a literal lead with the crown of the helmet into the body of a defenseless player. They called that. But all of this that is going on now on runners and all this, it's brand new for them. And I look at these and go, oh, geez, I mean, I grade that one, I graded incorrect. I look at this, oh, yeah, I would grade that one incorrect, too. I think there's an adjustment for them. They're doing what they're told. But remember, they're making snap judgments in 1/26th of a second without the use of replay. And so they're building what they call a library of fouls. So all of these calls and that are made, and then they'll go through before the start of the regular season. They'll break them down and say, this isn't. Now, I'm watching the game enough, and I'm not a huge fan of preseason football, but I'm watching it enough that I would say probably only a third, this would be my guess, only a third of the hits that I actually see are being called. I mean, there's a ton more that are not being called than are being called under the standard that they're using now. So let's hope that it doesn't advance to the scale that, all of a sudden, instead of 1.55 calls per game, as Al Riveron said, let's hope it doesn't get to 3.55, because then it becomes more of a debacle. But again, it's an adjustment period. Everything about preseason is adjustment period, and I feel bad for both groups. I feel bad for the players, and I do feel bad for the officials, who are trying to, enforce this rule when they haven't done it before. And it's not like, the thing is, it's not like emphasizing the tackles to get them up on the line of scrimmage. It's not like emphasizing motion men not moving forward at the snap. This is a player safety issue. This is a 15-yard penalty issue. This is a big issue, and again, I think that we'll get to the level that we find acceptable, and I hope that when we start the season, that the word gets down to the officials that the focus is going to be on the crown, where it's getting linear and leading with the crown. But if the head's turned sideways and you get contact with the side of the helmet, I don't think anybody wants that, because then you're basically leading with the shoulder, which is what you want them to do.
Right.
So I really do think they'll back off a bit.
Mike Pereira with us, former vice president of officiating in the NFL, and does a great job as a Fox NFL rules analyst. So that's one rule, Mike, that has caused a lot of uproar. The other one is the point of emphasis and re-emphasizing it, otherwise known as the Aaron Rodgers rule, which is you can't land your body weight on the quarterback. And, Mike, I got to tell you, that one, it seems like we've had some pretty decent tackles, and I don't think that one's changing. I mean, I think that one's going to be called in the regular season the way it's being called in the preseason, because the NFL knows stars matter, TV matters, and if everybody's watching backup quarterbacks, we may not be having as many eyeballs on football.
Well, the interesting thing is that what is this? I mean, is this a reaction to the Aaron Rodgers injury last year, which the league came out and said was not a foul? I mean, that was they were clear in coming out that said that it was a part of the normal tackle. But then if you listen to Brad Allen at one of the training camps, who said the point of emphasis came after the Aaron Rodgers tackle. Yep. So you're 100% right in that this one stays. Everything with the quarterback stays. And, Sean Hockley and Mike, I loved it. We got rid of one talker, and now this one, Sean doesn't talk as much. He just talks more often. And so I hope, you look at that play, and I get what he called. There was a little bit of a lunge where he kind of threw him down, and you could see it in slow motion. I mean, I didn't recognize it in real time. But, again, brand new referee. And so he certainly refereed in college, and he's done a couple of preseason games before. He may get, one of those calls that they say, okay, we'll go with you, but we'd rather not have you call that again. I hope that it's, we kind of get to the rule, or back to the rule, where it's basically a lift and drive. I mean, that's how we brought that in. We didn't want a defensive player to lift the quarterback and drive him into the ground. And now it's land on top of him with all of his body weight. I'm sure that when they show that play to all the referees, they will probably say, this is one we don't want called. There's not enough of a lunge into the ground. His body is off to the side, but, it's not going to be the first call that they look at and say they would rather have it not made. But, we know that in this day and age, and whether it's, Aaron Rodgers, you saw the impact of that injury last year, or anybody else, any other quarterback in the league and the committee and the owners have always been out to protect the quarterback, and that protection is never going to go away.
No, it is not. Mike, we appreciate you being with us this morning. We'll see how much the helmet rule changes in the preseason, and we'll see if at all for lack of a better term, Aaron Rodgers' point of emphasis rule changes in the regular season. Thanks for being up with us this morning, man.
Thanks, Mike.
You got it, guys. Take care.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
It's Golic and Wingo.
A tweeter writes in, I don't know how anyone listens to the Dan Le Batard show. It's painful, long periods of over-exaggerated laughter, not much talking sports, not knowing when they've beaten a joke to death. Golic and Wingo is far better.
Wow. Sports Center brought to you by Dell.
Thanks for writing that tweet, by the way.
Dell Small Business Technology Advisors know there's nothing small about your business. That's why we offer a one-on-one partnership and reliable business PCs with Intel Core processors to help you get business done. Call 877-BUY-DEL. That's 877-BUY-DEL.
All right. Glad you're with us on a Monday morning, Golic and Wingo. We do this every Monday. We want to know who won the weekend.
Who won the weekend?
Thank you. All right. We do this every weekend, so we're trying to figure out who won the weekend. These are some of the nominees. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Brandt Snedeker, who won the PGA Tour's Wyndham Championship at 21 under par. Shot a 59 in the first round, and then a 65 to close it out with a birdie on 18. Duke basketball.
Have you seen what this crew is doing? Now, a couple of the top prospects are out, but R.J. Barrett, who's from Canada, and they're having a swing up in Canada, he's been unbelievable. Zion Williamson has been unreal. Talk about living up to the hype. These two guys and what Zion is doing with the slam dunks and his versatility, a three-point shot, it is ridiculous. I cannot wait. And they don't even have all the top prospects yet. A couple of guys are nicked up a little bit and not playing yet. But, man, are they going to be fun to watch.
They are. Zion Williamson, the dunk from the free throw line. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
that was pretty good.
Just a joke what they're doing.
Yep. So that's an option. Big Al, he hits dingers. Caught a first pitch ceremoniously at the Little League Classic. Sister Mary Jo.
Yeah.
Sister Mary Jo with the bicep bump on the baseball, and then I'm going to give her a sinker. You can say what it is. I'm going to give her a sinker. I like that one. Justin Verlander won his 200th game. Kiki Bertens. Who beat Simona Halep to win the Cincinnati Masters, and 2 Chainz got married to longtime girlfriend at the Versace mansion in Miami. The guests included Kanye and Kim Kardashian, Lil Wayne, and a white tiger. By the way, Kanye showed up in his Yeezy sliders that looked to be a bit small for him. His heel was hanging off the back.
Wait, was it? You mentioned guests, Kanye, Kim Kardashian, Lil Wayne, and a white tiger. Did Lil Wayne bring the white tiger, or are you saying that
just show up on his
separate
own?
From? So did the white tiger just show up? Did they have who brought the white tiger? Was it just part of the guest list?
It was just there. It was just there. Just showed up.
All right.
Just showed up. So who won the weekend, in your opinion? Humble, sir.
I'd lean to Big Al, but I'm going to go with somebody who's not on the list, Simone Biles.
All right.
Wins her 5th Nationals, U.S. Nationals. The only other person to do that is go back to the mid-40s. First person, young lady since Dominique Dawes in 94 to win every event. So, and she took 2017 off.
She did.
At the Olympics in 16, took 2017 off.
Recharged.
I'd say the recharge worked.
Yes,
so if you're letting me pick whoever I want, I'm going with her. If we're going from this list, I'm going with Big Al. Big Al is living his moment.
He's living his best life.
He's taking advantage of his moment.
All right.
Yeah.
So you went honestly with someone off
Simone
the
Biles.
list.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to go with something that's kind of on the list, but really off the list.
Okay.
And that's Major League Baseball.
Okay.
I think the way the Little League World Series Classic has been handled with Major League Baseball and the Little League has been absolutely fantastic. And you saw that picture of Jacob deGrom and Syndergaard watching that game with the Little Leaguers there and the relationship, the way this is sort of sprouted and the shaking of the hands after the win by the Mets over the Phillies. I think all of that is great. And I think it's a great launching point. They're doing it again next year. It'll be the Cubs and Pirates right next year.
Yep.
Rob Manfred, Major League Commissioner, has already said that's going to be the case. I really think Major League Baseball did a great job in showcasing the sport, finding a new way to reach out to kids. And, Big Al is part of that.
Yeah.
So I'm putting that all together. I think Major League Baseball won.
All right, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I do like that
I like
one.
that a lot.
And as far as our poll, again, at Golic and Wingo, rank the breakfast carbs in a sandwich form and tell us why. The winner at 38% was the bagel, 32% was the biscuit, 16% the English muffin, and 14% the croissant.
Well, sometimes the French just end up short. Again,
I would go bagel last because it's too much bread.
Dough. And I love a bagel.
Oh, I do. Oh, listen.
I love a bagel.
I'm not turning down. Again, because I pick one doesn't mean I dislike the others. I'd eat any of these.
Yep.
My order would be biscuit, English muffin, croissant, bagel.
That would be my order as well. And again, I'm glad we got it straight because it was about a sandwich.
Because
I was a little upset.
Not just a breakfast carb.
The hash brown.
Yeah, because breakfast carb, then you're talking pancakes, hash browns, French toast. You're getting in a whole other category.
And people are upset, why aren't you mentioning tortilla because of a burrito? Because I don't know if I've ever had a bad tortilla that ruined the burrito.
Right.
Because the burrito is all about the innards.
Yeah, this is about the outside.
Something that complements what's on the inside. So that's really good. All right, we got Monday Night Football tonight. We'll see what happens from RG3. See what happens with Andrew Luck as he continues his comeback. Hey, quickly, you want to play golf today?
Message and data rates may apply.
When did it become okay for men to be lazier, softer, fatter? We need to bring the men of this country back to greatness with Ageless Male Max, a patent-pending formula with an ingredient that helps boost your total testosterone, promoting greater increases in muscle size and twice the reduction of body fat percentage than exercise alone. Plus, an amazing 64% increase in nitric oxide, which can be handy in the gym and in the bedroom. Take your manhood to the max by trying your first 30-day bottle free. Not 10 days, not 15 days, but a full 30-day supply free when you text the word SKILL to $79.79.79. Just pay shipping and handling. Finally.